Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of this Cartograph series. This is episode 3, and in this one we're going to talk about the pre-built customization surface. So this would be the MCP and the plugin. This is the website for the open source tool, cartograph.tools. The link to the GitHub is on here, where the repo is lives, that I opened in one of the previous, I think both the previous episodes, and we talked about the validation in the last episode. So in this case, I wanted to pull the website up because it houses some of the installation help. And do fight me on the open source repo and submit some feedback to let me know if these don't work for you. But this is some guidance for installing Cartograph in a way that will make your agent want to actually use it. The commands here are shown for ways to do it for most of the harnesses. This Gemini one is probably out of date now because the Gemini CLI is no longer being supported as much. But it's got a good chunk of the core harnesses there, and you should, if you're using the other ones, I would expect that you're probably used to extending it, typical instructions out to it. If there's any that people use that they want these instructions on the website for, I'd appreciate if you leave a comment, say, hey, it'd be nice if there was a setup in commands for this one. But without further ado, we're going to be setting this up for Claude. And the way we're going to do that is CG. All right, 1 second. I got to get over to my correct thing here. So the way this needs to be done is the MCP, as mentioned before in previous episodes, will bundle the CLI with it if you install it. So if you run the pip install cartograph-mcp, you will effectively be bringing in your CLI with it at the same time. So I'm going to quick do a pip uninstall. Well, I'll do a pip uninstall. I know you can't see my screen over here for now, but I'm on my rig that has everything set up already. And then we're going to do a pip install cartograph-mcp. And you'll see that it pulls in all the MCP dependencies. And if you dig through here, the CLI will pop up somewhere. There it is, the CLI, which is on 0.7.16 as of now. And now we have the MCP installed as per the instructions. And so the next thing we want to do is get our plugins, because our plugins has the skills. So we'll go to Claude and we will type plugin marketplace add and then the repo. So we will do this first, and this will enter it in to our marketplace so that we can, this essentially is just pulling the GitHub repo so that we can find the plugin in there. And then you'll do /plugin. You can do the install cartograph at cartograph.marketplace, or you can come over here in the UI, open it up, browse for the plugins, and select this plugin right here and install at whatever scope you like. And I'm going to do user scope in this case. So what does this give us access to? Nope, that's not what I wanted. Reload plugins. There we go. So specifically, we will see that this will register your MCP. So you'll see that we have this user MCP now. And the MCP surface is essentially going to help you replace that Claude MD file that you otherwise would I don't know what you call it, I guess, but otherwise that you'd have with a more differently packaged, I would say, MCP service that makes sense in these 10 tools. So like The registry will give you all your registry facing tools. So install, blueprints, create. I don't know if it's create, but there's, well, it looks like, yeah, there's all your search. I think your search stuff is in here, installing, inspecting, yep. So install from the registry, inspect from the registry, yada, 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 is all part of this CG registry command. So that one kind of takes care of anything that's going into your local or public registry. It's a command surface to help your agent understand how to use that. Installed, this is if you've actually pulled it into your thing, into your project. These are some of the things that you'll use. So uninstalling widgets is one of them. Upgrading your widgets from previous versions is one of them, yada yada. So there's a whole host of tools here, and some of them are broken out to be more specific. So like create has very specific parameters that we don't want to muddy up with registry, so that's its own thing. Validates its own thing. Check-in is its own thing that'll help the model kind of understand the changing. So the MCP gives it access to those tools. You can do Cartograph setup -- agent Claude -- MCP -- workflow. You can do this, and this will make it so that you get a reduced surface for this Claude MD. So now we are going to expose just the domains. If you put your workflow in there, you can make custom workflows. So if you still want that in there in your Claude MD, that'll, with the -- workflow, can go in. Some description about what the MCP is supposed to be, because there's a couple things in here that exist in the CLI, and it gives it the reminder to use Cartograph - help to find them, etc. So it's a reduced Claude MD file so that your agent can focus on using the MCP. So we've got that. Another thing that the MCP, or the plugin might like, which some people, the plugin has, which some people may like and some people may not, is a hook. So if I say hello world, you'll see that on prompt submit, it gets this reminder to review available CG skills. And so what are those CG skills? Well, it's a list of them here. Actually, I bet there's a better way to look at these, probably in skills. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 skills that come with the plugin right now, all covering different parts of Cartograph, and that user prompt submit just gives Claude a reminder that, hey, before you work on this request, make sure nothing in Cartograph is relevant to what we're working on. You might imagine this feels redundant, but as of how I've been working with it, this has been the only way that I can get it to. You really have one of two choices. You can not use the hook and instead prompt every time you want it to think about Cartograph, or you can use the hook and it'll think about it usually. The Claude MD file doesn't seem to be authoritative enough to make it use these skills all the time. And they are built to be somewhat authoritative, better now than they were before, but I found that the hook makes it a lot better. So we've got a skill surface. One of the ones I want to highlight right away is this config one. So can you tell me about my setup? It should load the skill. I hope it does. Yep, so it's loading the CG config skill. And what this skill is going to do is it's going to give Claude the understanding of your Cartograph config command that has that big list of things. And there you go. It's going to run the MCP of it. It's going to run Doctor. It's going to give you an idea of how your Cartograph CLI is set up today. And this is so that you don't have to do all the work to understand all the little things you need. And we'll see here in a second that Claude is going to give us a good description of our setup. So our setup is framed around a couple questions. So when we check in a widget, right now for me, the way I have my CLI configured, auto publish is on to the public registry. So every check-in is going to that one, and it is, my governance for it is set to open. So I'm not protecting my widgets. If anyone wants to contribute to them, they can within meaningful restrictions, I should say. When we search, my cloud is enabled, so I will see from the public registry. Gives us the update that I will see local searches first. So even if you have the public registry up, if you've got more relevant widgets in your local, that you will see first. And we have show unavailable as true, so we will see languages we're not configured for. What do we have? Engine-wise, we're 13 out of 14 on this box, which is a little surprising. Rust is the only engine not ready. So my Rust engine is missing something, which is a little odd to me since I do development on this machine, but that must be just a weird path thing that's going on right now. Either way, it gives me an update of what engines are ready, and that's from running Cartograph Doctor. And yeah, so this kind of gives you an overview of how you're set up to go, which is great. Thank you. That all looks good to me. From here, if we look at some of the other skills that are available, there's a wide variety of them. Cloud is going to give you, is more for governance. So when you have widgets on the cloud and you have things coming in, well, no, it's not actually. Tell me about my cloud setup. So we're going to load that skill in. There's another skill, proposal, which will walk through your, if you've got protected widgets that people are making proposals on, it'll walk through how to review those and how to rectify what's coming in. So that's a bit of helping your agent not have to figure that out from scratch every time. But this cloud setup will tell you now, beyond config, just some of the other stuff you have going on as it relates to the cloud specifically. So are you authenticated? What's your governance? So it ends up being somewhat redundant, but it goes in a little deeper detail of exactly what's going on with the cloud registries and helps you understand and Claude understand more what is going on in the cloud. So that's a couple commands that come in that will help your agent tell you what is going on with Cartograph. And then there's a couple that are in for usage. So the big one is CG Plan. And that's the one I think we're going to see if we can get it kicked on. Can we build a feature that makes a new feature announcement? User logs in. So this is, you can imagine we've got a situation where you're on a login page, a service that you log into, and the devs want to give a call-up card to say, hey, we're working on a new thing. You'll see right away that this CG plan is called. And I'm going to go into auto mode here so that Claude can go faster, but this CG plan is loaded, and what it's going to walk it through is a little bit more about how to actually use Cartograph in its workflow. So it's telling it to take the request, break it down into the little pieces you need, take a look at the registry to see if there's anything you can reuse from there, take a look at what's installed locally on your project, see if there's anything you can use from that, and then start to classify by what you've searched for, what you want to improve, install, what you need to improve, maybe create from scratch, and what you might want to blueprint together. So it kind of does a better job of breaking. Otherwise, if you tell it to just make Cartograph widgets, it's just going to not, it's really never going to make them because it doesn't know what a widget's supposed to be. So in this way, we can see that we have two widgets already in my registry, and I knew there would be because I just worked on this feature for something else. We have a login state detection for the front end. So we're saying in TypeScript, if we can detect that the user's logged in, we can hit off this feature. And then I have a blueprint, which is feature announce. So it is a, I guess we'll see what it is. Let's go for it. And then there's nothing to improve or extend, since we have nothing installed, and the widgets themselves, improve and extend will be for ones you have installed or ones it finds in the registry and still needs to make happen. When it finds in the registry, it still needs features that it has to extend beyond it. So maybe a registry one is 70% of the way there and we need the last 30%. It's creating nothing, and then it defines what is glue for this, and that's going to be just a few things to really integrate with the Blueprint API. So Claude now knows what to do and is going to run through and install our lovely our blueprint and our widget. And I haven't really gone over what a blueprint is. A blueprint in Cartograph is a collection of widgets, and they are not on the public registry. So you will not have access to this blueprint if you go search for it right now. You will have access to all the widgets that are in it because I published all of them. But the blueprints are local only, and this is because maintaining dependencies by version is a pain in the butt. Widgets already are rapidly increasing their versions as agents are working on them. And so it's just not reasonable right now, without any usage statistics or usage understanding, to expect blueprints to stay useful. And so blueprints are made to be local only. And the whole point is to create a surface, and hopefully, okay, good, the API error is gone. The whole point is to create a surface that you can take all those widgets and compose them into one API contract that you can pull into your app after that. So when you install Blueprint, it automatically pulls in all the widgets that are attached to it. So like if we look right now, we ran 2 install commands, but we have tons of widgets because we install a blueprint. And then we have the blueprint. If we take a look at this blueprint, I can grab it here. It's going to look very similar to a widget. Not LS. Oh, aren't you finding it? Oh, because I gotta be in here. There we go. And on dev, looks like this is up and running while we're here. I think I need a different port. Taken for something else. I do need a different port. What's going on here? There we go. The only difference is it has the blueprint.json. It's got the widgets contained within it, I believe, is what that is. Come on, can't type these days. CG, so it's got the widgets carrying with it, as well as being installed in the whatchamacallit, in the actual just CG directory. And the reason for this is so that the SRC has a much easier target to understand how to install the widgets, use the widgets from its surface. But then what we don't want is that all these widgets that you have for the project become unusable in the app. So your code gets duplicated in 2 spots, but the whole idea is your app should pull from CG and your blueprint should pull from its own CG, and they should not conflict. And now we've got a port here, and reason, not exactly sure why. That seems a little odd. Oh, it's not up, that's why. Yeah. There we go. It crashes. And run dev seems to crash. Yes, it is currently crashing. We'll see if it fixes it. Would be nice if it did. I might have to do a quick cut in the video. If why are you doing a 15-second timeout? See if Claude can fix it really quick. This is one thing I'm still working on. It is, I think oftentimes the import stuff is a pain in the butt for Claude, because we are pulling from a different directory and it's very library heavy and it's not a perfectly natural way for development. And this might be something that I need to do better at with guiding the model. Maybe some of the skills and some of the how to interconnect, but the crash was from a symlink. So that's going to be rather common, unfortunately, at this stage. Test. And there we go. And now we have this little pop-up modal that can tell us that something new is in our app. And there's some weird things we got to work through still, but we got the logic in and the, whatchamacallit? Got to be a real email address. That's fine. But now we have the logic, and as you can see, the way it was wired up is only on a first-time login. So yeah, that is kind of the gist of the Cartograph workflow and some of the things it allows us to do. There was, I guess I didn't give a lot of chance to show off what that was. It's not one of the most impressive demos that I could, do right now. But it is an important part of your app. All right, I'm just checking one more thing over here on it. That's weird. It only popped up once, but again, that's just to give you an idea of what the customization surface of Cartograph is and kind of some of the doors it opens up for you. Those models is work that I put in before that we did not have to write all the source code for now to get all the capabilities I needed from the surface, and we can extend it to something far greater after this. So that's kind of an overview of the customization surfaces that you can have, and the skill files and the MCP server itself. Again, I guess I maybe didn't mention this, but this is cartograph.tools, and it'll take you to the home page, and you can read up on a couple more things that have to do with it. I'll maybe point out, if you've made it this far, that if you decide to start it, these 938 widgets are currently all public. So this is widgets I've been publishing over the last few months, and you will have access to them on day one. The cloud is enabled on the start, and you can shut it off if you don't want these muddying up your space, but there is a jump start here across 9 languages. So yeah, that's the customization surface of your harness. And thank you everybody for watching, and I will talk to you in the next episode.